1 to 4, how comfortable you are with like doing adventure, problem solving, and community building activities. So Nancy, real quick, how many people are supposed to be here?
Up to 60.
Up to 60? Okay.
Up to 60. And right now we're at 53.
Yeah, that's, I didn't want to get ahead of people. So, cool. I'm seeing a lot. I love the people that are 7s. Scale of 1 to 4, 7. I love it. All right. So a lot of people here are pretty comfortable with it. And then the other thing that I was wondering is, what grades does everybody teach here? Are you a K to 5, K to 8? I know I'm going to have a mix. Courtney has the job that I said if I got bounced out of Colombo, I would go back to the K1, 2, 3. That would be my job. If I couldn't find a high school.
A lot of ifs.
All right, so for the high school people here, I know on the sign up, it said K to 5. This is not just for K to 5, it's for everybody. Basically, a little bit about me. My name's Nick Bukowski. I teach at Academy at Palumbo. I've been in the district for the last 20 years. As Nancy, when she called me up to ask me to do this, pointed out, there's not many people that remember Honor Dort anymore. And so I'm kind of like, because I went through Temple and I had a connection with Arnie. I'm like one of those Arnie disciples. Not only am I a health and phys ed teacher like you, I've taught at elementary schools. I was at J.H.G. Blaine. I was at Neberger Elementary School. I was at University City High School. I was at Parkway Center City. And now I'm at Academy of Palumbo. So I've been around the district to a couple of different places in different areas. I've taught all the grades. So I've taught kindergarten through 12. I kept on joking with my elementary crew when I was there that I was trying to graduate back into high school. And it took me 8 years to graduate back into high school. So I guess that's right on track with my students. Again, this is building content or building connections before content. And what happened was Nancy had called me up and she had asked for me to do an adventure program kind of thing with team building and problem solving. And so I got to talking with Nancy, and I had made the mistake of saying, or maybe not the mistake, of saying how important I feel like this is going to be with kids coming back. They've spent a year and a half on a computer, not having social interactions. And I feel like this is going to be like something you might want to use out the gate. And you might want to keep on doing it. You could make it like either a Monday activity or a Friday activity. You might want to just keep on kind of going back to the well and trying things out. So what I did was I put together a list of 9 activities mostly from Plamio. There's one that I put in there. It's one that I do. So I just kind of rewrote it up and put it in there. So we're going to go over what an adventure activity kind of looks like and a little bit about why we should be doing this. Oops. All right. So what do you guys think of when you encounter phrases like adventure, problem solving, community building, activities, or units? Like when you come across those words, either in the chat or you can call it out, unmute and call it out, and act like we were together in a gym somewhere, because I sure do miss that.
Hey, Nick,
All right, so
we can't see your screen if you want us to.
So I see team building, rope climbing, problem solving. All right, working together, community, thinking outside the box, unity. Oh, you don't see?
No, we
You
don't
don't see
see.
the presentation?
No, we don't.
All right. All right, hold on. Let me see why. This worked earlier.
So for those of you who are not familiar with the name Arnold Dort that Nick had used earlier, Arnold was a longtime health and physical education teacher here in the school district. He was instrumental in helping to develop a number of health and phys ed teachers and develop their love for adventure activity and what it could bring to a class beyond the rote activities. He helped us to understand that it was a different way to connect with our students and a different way to help them process what the movement activities brought to them and how they could use them as they moved forward through life. So if you ever hear us lovingly referring to Arnold Dort, that would be the reason why, for those of us who have been around for a while.
All right, let's try this again. Is it sharing now?
Yes.
Yay! Again, one more reason why I wish this was just live.
So we've already addressed that slide. Yep, you're on it, Nick.
Where we left off. All right, so brainstorming. What are the advantages of these types of activities? Like, how do you guys see these things kind of playing out?
You might need to give them a little more, Nick. You might need to tease them out a little bit.
All right, we learn how to cooperate and problem solve. So you see from doing these types of activities, the adventure, problem solving, learning to communicate.
I think especially with the pandemic, people are struggling to get communication, perhaps in their Zoom calls. So maybe missing that freshman year or sophomore year, whatever the kids are missing. I think this will help bring more out of them.
I like that also somebody put up thinking, giggling, working together. Working together is definitely a big one. Building trust. And you hear that a lot with all that SEL programming going on, building trust. Self-reliance, group reliance, fun. Right, taking different roles. So delegating responsibilities, leading, following, all right?
Stress.
Managing your stress or just coping with stress, because some of these activities are going to bring stressful situations. So, and we'll get into that a little bit more. Social skills improving, listening. Listening to learn, not to respond. All right, that's
Also,
another good one.
also learning different rules itself also, but different roles. Who's the leader? Who's the follower? Who takes on those other? Who might be your transcriber? Who, you know, whatever those roles are for the situation too, and working with the other people in those roles.
Yeah, and that's exactly like some of the stuff we were gonna get at. Like, I kind of morphed away from saying team building. Number one, the district, and a lot of people are using community building more. But when you think of teams, you think of sports. When you think of community, you think of the people around you. You know, so having those roles, you know, and being able to communicate with each other, you know, friends are going to go back and forth of being the leader. You're not always going to be the leader. And sometimes in these activities, you're going to be able to put a kid into a situation where maybe they might have not have been comfortable with that role at first. And that's going to be okay. That's going to come out in the debriefing. All right, so some potential outcomes that I put up for adventure, problem solving, and community building. Collaboration. Students met at their level, which sometimes we don't think about with adventure and problem solving. You know, you're going to see there's never going to be two groups that do it exactly the same way. It never happens. It's like it gets to be pretty unique. And one of the reasons is the kids are working at their level. You're not setting up a level. You're giving them a task to get done, and how they can get there, totally different. All right, so students are kind of met at their level. Stress management, somebody brought that up earlier. Group roles, we talked about that. Being a leader, following the leader, being a recorder. Sometimes it's being a recorder in some of these activities. So there's all kinds of roles that play out within these dynamics. Lifetime fitness, there's still fitness involved with this. You're moving around. The ones that I chose, they're not as like fit, but all right, Rashida, thanks. They're not as like fitness oriented, but they're still going to be moving around. They're still going to be active. Some of them can be really intense, especially when you get into climbing activities and things like that. So you can definitely adjust how active the kids are in these activities. Developing perseverance. I mean, I think that's a big one for our students. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about kindergarten students or if you're talking about high school students. That stick-to-itness, that desire to finish the task or complete the task, I think that's a big one that you're going to see in there. All right. Safety. Now, a lot of us, we think we have to be the one that controls the safety, but sometimes we can flip that on the students. You know, when you're in these activities and you're giving them like this open-ended model for them to kind of complete the task, you know, there's nothing stopping you from letting a student get into or think about doing an unsafe thing and then go and say, do you think that's the safest thing you can do? Or is everybody going to be all right if that happens? Could somebody get injured? And then they could be like, yeah, maybe that's not the smartest idea, the safest way to do it. Maybe I am, you know, it's that risk reward, which is the next one. You know, am I putting my body at risk or am I not? So if they turn around and they say, I don't feel safe doing that. All right, well, they've learned they don't feel safe completing that task, and that's okay. Well, let's find another way to do it. Let's find a workaround there. Sometimes this works really well, and sometimes it freezes up on me. Sorry, everybody. All right, so leading activities, getting into why we're here. All right, what's the format? How do we form groups, equipment, and like what we do at that close-in, that reflection. And I think a lot of us, we get the activity is the important thing, but I'm gonna stress this now. Believe it or not, some of the biggest learning parts come at the reflection, the aha moment at the end. Somebody mentioned earlier, there's kids giggling, there's kids laughing, there's kids having fun when you're doing these activities. There's also kids that are scared out of their mind. There's kids that are very uncomfortable. And until you bring them back to the end and you reflect on it, they don't recognize what's going on. They don't see how everything played out, you know? So that's where the big part is, that reflection. You know, you got to get back to really debriefing and going through and using different strategies. All right, so that brings us to forming groups. What are some ways that you guys have formed groups in the past? Like, what's some of the ideas that you have?
Nick, I did one where I used popsicle sticks, color coded them, and I said, just pick a stick, and that's the team you were on.
All right, so that's like a random run, right?
Random, yeah.
All right, so I got these popsicle sticks, kids are coming in, pick up a popsicle stick, and that's your team. They're color coded. Anybody else?
I did skill level.
All right, so skill level. So in this, that gets challenging, right, to do skill level. So, but if you're doing a sport, it gets a little easier, like skill level or years you've been playing. All right, and so that's kind of like selected by the teacher, but also selected by the student, you know, because the student's going to give you up their skill level. So, I mean, I guess you could do comfortability and see how that went. What's another idea?
One time I did like would you rather, not would you rather, but like questions where they could relate to. And I kind of narrowed it down to different groups and had them go to different corners for different questions. And then I was just like, this is it. And at the end, like, this is your group.
You know what's beauty about that? Because it feels like it's random, but it could really almost be pre-selected by the teacher too, because you're seeing the groups as they go to their corner, and you can just keep on shuffling that deck up until you're comfortable with it and you get something you want. I saw some people put deck of cards. All right, that's more random. Birth, month, color, count off. What color sneakers, clothing you're wearing. That's a big one I often use too. So those things are a little bit more random. But again, you can keep on kind of shuffling that deck until you get comfortable with what you see. Selected by the students. What do you think the pros and cons of selected by the students are?
Or go with their friends.
Yeah, odds are they're going to go with the people they're comfortable with. And you know what? Sometimes that's okay, because it feels good to be around people you want to be around. All right. But if we're trying to build community and we're trying to spread that out, that could also be a weakness too, right?
Yeah.
All right. They want to work together. That's the pro.
They might pick they might pick the most highly skilled people on the team, and then the other team might not have, you know, the more highly skilled people.
Yeah, so that's definitely a con. The teams could become imbalanced. So, you know, when we're doing these activities, they could become imbalanced. The one thing you're going to find about community building, problem solving, and adventure, it's like an equalizer sometimes. Like the kids that are most athletic, sometimes they struggle in these activities because they're used to winning. And you put them in something where they got to maybe use their brain a little bit more and use physicality a little bit less. And sometimes they struggle, you know, because they want to rush to get it done. They want to be the first done. So sometimes they can be an equalizer, but, you know, again. All right. Eric said, you know, a hybrid, like where you allow students to pick a couple people and then you pick a couple people. That's definitely another way to do it. Good. Somebody had their hand up.
Nick, I also said, when I only needed two teams or two groups, I would just say, hey, find a partner. One of you stand on, you know, and then face each other. So you'd have shoulder to shoulder with all the groups. All right, well, that side of the room, you go over there. The other side, go to the other side. So they didn't realize they formed a group with somebody that's probably a friend, and all of a sudden the teams are split up evenly, but they're not with their friend now.
Yeah. So, and I've done something similar. I went to this workshop where this one guy did, like, he would have everybody run around in the gym and then clap twice and everybody had to go toe touch, toe to toe. All right. And then he'd keep on like having them circle around and do that a couple of times. So they keep on mixing it up, and then he'd do his groups, you know? So it's another way to kind of like,
Another random.
yeah, it's random, but you're also gotten your eyes on it. So, and then it's also student selected, because if you really, 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 truly didn't want to put your toe next to that other kid's toe, you're going to find somebody else to go toe to toe with quickly, you know? So it's kind of in the same way, a little bit selected by the students. So you get a little bit of the best world. And the nice thing is, for a teacher aspect, you can go through and be like, look and say, nah, that's not going to work. I don't like how that played out. All right, clap, clap, everybody run again, you know, until you get like something that you like. So again, how you do these things, I've seen stickers used or name tags. And the nice thing about that is you can get like a 3-for-1. So if you're smart about how you do the name tags, you know, you could have them color coded. You could put like theme stickers on. So one group is like sport balls, the other one's like cartoon characters. But then you could have another one like, these are all the red stickers over here. These are all the blue stickers. So sometimes you can shuffle the deck a couple of times and only have to do it once. You know, so these are just some ideas of forming groups and getting it started, because in these activities, sometimes you're going to do big group, sometimes you're going to do small group. All right, so equipment. What are you going to need for this? This is one of those ones where a lot of people usually turn around to me. They're like, oh, I can't do a venture because I don't have the equipment. Earlier, I saw somebody say, I want to climbing ropes, things like that. You don't need mats. You don't need climbing ropes. You could do a lot of these activities without any of that stuff. So years ago, Brian Beaton and I put together, and Nancy, I got to give you some credit too, Nancy. We sat down and we put together a adventure unit. And that one did require some equipment, but that's because we had a PEP grant and we were buying the equipment for the school. So you might even have some adventures stashed away in your school somewhere, because I know there was equipment that's been released to schools. But for the most part, we're talking about like human beings, you know, everybody has them. Paper, tape, paper plates, sport balls. And my line that I gave Betty Ann Creighton years ago was, we struggle at this because Brian and I would just go raid the equipment closet. What can I make work? You know, the last thing, one of the things I got from Arnie when I graduated Temple was, he gave me all these metal rigs. And he said, congratulations, you graduated, go make up a game. So I had all these like washers and rings, and for years I carried them around with me, and every once in a while I'd use them for something or come up with like a game to kind of play with them real quick. So sometimes you just also have to sit down and stop looking at your equipment as it should be used and start looking at it as like, how else can I use that? And challenge the students to do that too. All right, so parts of an activity. You're going to start out with a how to play narrative. Then you're going to go to the activity. It's going to be activity time. And then there's going to be timeouts or time to refocus. And then, like I said earlier, that reflection at the end, you want to leave yourself time to actually do that. If you're skipping over that, you're missing all the gold. All the gold's gone. All right. The kids probably had a great time. You probably had fun. But all the learning kind of gets missed. Oh, hit the wrong way. Sorry. Lost my mouse. There we go. So the how to play narrative. A lot of these adventure or problem solving things, they are introduced with like a setup or a story. And that's like the how to play narrative to the kids. There's different ways you can do that. We'll get into that in a minute. Activity time. This is the time where students are going to perform or be trying to do or complete the task or perform whatever you're asking them to perform. Timeouts, refocus time. This is going to be used by the instructor to kind of reset or refocus the activity. So if you recall earlier, I talked about safety. You know, you see a kid, like one of my big pet peeves is those I use the scooters sometimes. And inevitably, some kid wants to stand on top of the scooter. All right, inevitably, because it's a skateboard, right? That's what they think. But we all know some kid is going to slip off the top of that, clunk their head on the floor, or they're going to break their leg, because I saw a kid break their leg. So like sometimes you got to let them put their foot on top of it and go, hold on, I'm going to stop you there. Time out. All right. Do you have a helmet on your head? No. All right. Do you think that's stable enough for you to stand on? Maybe. And that's where you kind of just go, no, it's not. That would be a bad choice. And this is the reason why. All right. Now try to think of a different way to use it. So it's just like a timeout, refocusing. You're not really giving them the answer. You're just kind of refocusing them and kind of giving that so they can think about it a little bit. All right. And then, like I said earlier, reflection time. You're going to hear me harp about this a lot. This is the time where most of the learning is going to go on. If you don't plan for it and you don't have that, then they're going to run through, they're going to have a great time doing these activities, but they might get like a small slither of what you wanted to pull out of it. And you kind of got to go back through and kind of point that out to them. All right, so we get started with how to play narrative. This can be done by the teacher or by the student. You can do it either way. All right. One way is you give out the story, you just speak it. You just tell it to them. All right, this is what we're going to do. The other one is you can give it to them with written instructions. All right, so you can give out written instructions and have the students read it. Maybe it has images and things like that for them to look at. The other way is with the students. You can give the written instructions to the students, have them taking turns reading it and being the leader for their group. All right, here's the challenge today. Read this to your group, go over with what you want to do. And then the other thing is you could do like a story mode where you kind of go through this story and have them write down like what they think you want them to do. All right. And then you can kind of go back over it that way.
Hey, Nick, do you always use a story, or like sometimes I'll just say, go from point A to point B. You can make up like a lot of kids would always think, like this summer I just said, oh, we're doing the floor is lava, but they had to get across the whole field.
So sometimes, yeah, I mean, if time allows, it's nice to give like if you want to create an adventure, it's right. to give the parameter. And what it does is it sets up the idea. But yeah, like you're saying, if you're trying to save time, hey, have you guys ever watched the show Floor is Lava? Today we're doing Floor is Lava. All right. You're going to, and it's still kind of a story. You're still setting the scene. You're just making it shorter, and that's fine. You got to do you know, like one of the things, you know, like, and it's also grade level. Like sometimes you paint this beautiful picture and the younger kids, kindergarten to 3, they're like, oh, wow. Yeah. And like somebody already put out, sixth grade middle school geek out over the stories. So they like the stories. So you got to read your group. Like I said, I taught at University City. I taught at James G. Blaine, Nebriger. Each one of those schools, I had to go at it a different way. Marcus, I'm not throwing U City under the bus, but with them, I had to offer the carrot. I led with, hey, we're going to do 3 adventure activities today. And if you get these 3 challenges done, whatever time we have left, you're going to have for option time. All right. But we got to do these three challenges first. Challenge number one is, right? You remember those days, right, Tracy?
Yep. I was just telling somebody about that. And like, we're not going to play ball today.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. Arnie was great. Arnold Dort, what he would do is he'd take all the basketballs and he'd lock them up somewhere. And somewhere in the activities, there was a combination for them to unlock the balls. So if they wanted to get the balls, they had to get the combination. So they had to complete the task. So if you frame it and you give them the right carrot, they're going to want to do it, and that's definitely part of the story time, like the narrative, like, why are we doing this? Or kind of like how we're going to do this. All right. So, however you want to do your story, I include it in the activities that I gave you. I gave you kind of like a theme or a story to go around. But again, you can make it your own. If you want to make it like, hey, we're doing Florida Slav at the BA, this is how you do it, go for it. If you want to do hey, we're going to do these 3 challenge activities today. This is the first one. This is what you need to do. You've given out like that story, and you get them motivated to start going. So with the instruction, I will say this: when your story or you're giving out your instructions, it's better to make things a little bit vague. All right. Don't lead them too much. Leave it open. Does anybody know why I usually leave it open a little bit? Right. Somebody went, so thinking, you want them to think about it. You want them to come up with a solution. Like I said, some of these activities I've done over and over and over again. And even people that have done it before, they redo it a different way than the first time they did it. It changes, so you want them to kind of put their own solution to it and think like, this is how I'm going to do it. All right. After I give out the instructions, I usually tell them, I'm going to answer yes, no questions. So you turn around and you just kind of say, is that a yes, no question? No, then you have to re-ask me in a different way. All right. And what that does is it allows for them to kind of think about what they want to do. Can I do this? I don't know. What do you want to do? And then when they say, can I stand on top of the scooter? No, you cannot stand on top of the scooter. It goes back to that thing. So when you do those things, you want to kind of narrow it down a little bit, and you want to like allow them kind of put their own spin on things, think about it, communicate it with each other, because otherwise they're just going to keep on asking you questions until they have the solution. So that's the big thing. So try to stay away from that once it's the activity started, and leave it a little vague. Does not like when I hit the space bar. All right, activity time. So let's go. It's time to go, right? So again, resist giving away the solution. Kids are going to struggle. Kids are going to get frustrated. But that's where you earn your money, and you kind of like, it's like a pressure cooker. You got to decide, when the levels are too great. Nobody knows your students better than you do. That's what we get paid the big bucks, right? At least that's what I joke with people. Nobody knows your students better than you. Yeah, I probably can work something out to get a copy of the presentation. So nobody's going to know your kids better than you. You got to kind of figure out like when the right time to like monitor, step in, observe, maybe call a timeout and refocus them. And again, everywhere I've been, it's been a little bit different, and you always got to be able to sit there. Sometimes you got to shut it down for the day and be like, all right, we're going to come back to this tomorrow. Nobody was in the right mind frame to do this right now. But the next time we have phys ed, we're going to come back to this activity. And that's the shocker of them. When they come back and you're doing that activity again, they're like, oh, wait, we really got to face this challenge. And I'm like, yeah, we're not moving off of this until you get this done. So it does take a little stick-to-itiveness on your part. And you got to be willing to kind of like find that balance. Talk them through it. Give them hints, like vague hints. Sometimes I'm like, maybe you should be listening to this person over here, because I keep hearing them say something and nobody's listening to them. And often they'll be like, Does that mean they have the answer? And I'm like, I don't know. Have you tried it? Have you listened to them? I don't know. And then it puts it on them to kind of go back and do that. So that's part of that monitoring, observing, letting the kids come up with different solutions, reminding them, you know, hey, you can even make up a fake story of how, hey, when I did this at a workshop, we failed about 5 times. You know, we failed this 5 times and I finally got it. You know, so just understand, like, that's definitely a piece of what you guys can give to the students. Like, make it sound, even if you've never done it before, make it sound like you have, you know, and you know the solution because you read all the paperwork. So you kind of, or you've seen other classes do it. So just kind of make it up and kind of put that out there. And then if they come across with something that you've never seen, when you get to that feedback portion at the end, make sure they know it. Give them that love. Be like, I have never seen, I've used this line so many times, it's not even funny. I've never seen a group do that before. That's the first time I've seen a group do this. And they're like, really? Never? And I'd be like, no, that's the first time I've seen that. And sometimes it's just because they really worked hard or they tweaked it a little bit. I'll use that line and the kids love it. Sorry, I'm working off 2 screens here. So I always have to find the mouse to make sure there. So debrief, this is where the gold is, right? So go over success first. That's the first half of it. You got to make the kids feel good. Otherwise, they're going to be like, all right, well, this was stupid. We got done, you know. But if you go over their success and make it feel like they've accomplished something really big, even if it's really small, you've won them over. All right. Ask them if they could come up with any possible solutions. I've had fun with this. Like sometimes I'll be like, hey, can you guys come up with another way to do this? And they'd be like, well, I thought of this way. And then some of the students are like, can we try it again? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it again. Let's set it back up. Let's do it again. Try it that way now. You know, or maybe they flew through it really quickly and you saw like, maybe if I take these 2 things away, it's going to make it more of a challenge. You could be like, hey, do you think you guys could do this again if I take these 2 things away? And the kids might be like, no, I don't think so. Or maybe, yeah, you know, and then you'd be like, well, you know what? We're going to try that again sometime and we're going to do it a different way. All right. So look for other possibilities and then discuss the problems that come up. They're going to come up. Inevitably, there's that kid that's not being listened to, you know, who had ideas and they were left out. There's always the kid that decides they know the best way to do it and they just try to dominate the activity. All right. You can always talk about that. Sorry, change of class time. But you definitely want to get into like those aspects of it. What did you see? You know, if you want to have a notepad and take notes as you see them played out, if that helps you, do it. I often just kind of walk around and I'm like, all right, I want to talk about, you know, communication here. I want to talk about how frustrated they were. You know, sometimes it's talking about like, how can you guys calm down instead of becoming more frustrated? All right. So those are definitely some of the aspects of what you can do there. All right. So that's where the gold is. So go over success, look for other possible solutions, and then discuss any kind of problems that come up. It's the same thing over and over, regardless of how you do these activities. All right, so this is where I'm going to implore you guys to take a little bit look at these 9 activities. So I'm going to put this link up there, and everybody, you're going to get your own copy in your Google Doc. All right. So if you click on that link there, these are 9 activities, and just click on the link and you should get a copy.
You put the link in the chat?
I did.
Oh, it's not showing up.
Oh, that's because for some odd reason it went to 1 person. Sorry.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that 1 person's really happy.
Only 1 person's getting it. Sorry. They got to do
Here it is.
Is that Dante? Dante, you're doing all the work for everybody, evidently. Sorry.
I got you guys.
All right, so if you open that up, let's see if I can switch. I'm so used to like, you're either like a Google Meets or a Zoom person. I'm a Google Meets person. So using Zoom, I think is like, I'm like trying to write with my left hand. So you should be able to see something that looks like this. Hopefully thumbs up if you got it. Should be 9 activities. Seeing most people with a thumbs up. Do I need to send that one more time or no? All right, cool. All right, so I'm just gonna keep on rolling then. I will also say, if you go onto the Hollywood Squares and then you go over to, log me out already, the scholarship, there's a section on there. It has curriculum. You can click on PE, and under the PE, there's also an adventure thing. You can click on that, and that has the adventure program that we put together. Gosh, it feels like maybe almost 10 years ago now. All right, so there's another 9 or 11 activities on there. That stuff you're probably going to need more equipment for, and some of it might not be, you know, you might be able to make it work, you might not be able to.
Did you say under scholarship?
Yeah, on the Hollywood Scare, it's a scholarship. What's it called now?
Yeah, I don't have that on my.
SIS maybe?
No. Let me look at it. SchoolNet, that's it, not scholarship, SchoolNet. So if you go over to SchoolNet, you can go on there, and you go to curriculum, PE, and then it's under phys ed, and it says adventure. And if you click on that, you can download, it's a whole adventure curriculum that you can do too. Or if you root around your closet somewhere, there's probably like stuck in there somewhere, there's an adventure program stuck in there too. So the ones that I just gave you are 10 different activities from what we did then. And there we go. So what I want you to do is, we're gonna go into breakout rooms. I'm gonna kind of try to set this up real quick, random. But basically what I want you to look at is like, what would you change? How could you modify it for different grades? What aspect of adventure, problem solving, community building do you think this addresses? All right. So take a look at these things, and we'll come back in a group. I'm going to try to send you guys out, and we'll kind of look at those things. So like, what would you change? How could you modify it? What aspects, you know, did you like, or do you think will work, and how it addresses stuff that we talked about today? Oh no, I went too far. Hold on. Sorry. So this is the breakout rooms. So I'm going to ask for, when I set up the groups, group 1, or Nancy, can you set up 9 groups, please? Nancy still here?
I'm here. Let's give it a shot.
All right, just do 9 random groups. Group 1, so if you're in group 1, you're going to do Blizzard. If you're in group 2, you're going to do Tall and Proud Tag. Group 3, Number Shuffle. Group 4, Tin Can Pass. Group 5, Need a Shoelace. Group 6, Flip Over 10. Group 7, Mighty Wind. Group 8, Pressure Cooker. Group 9, Don't Let Go.
Are you
Hey,
going to
Nick,
keep this
can you
posted?
copy the breakout room content and paste it in the chat so that when people get into their,
Sure.
thank you. I'm gonna set up the breakout rooms now.
Hit the wrong button.
Nick, so everyone has been assigned.
All right, cool.
It doesn't look like everybody's there, however.
What time does this go to?
This goes until 10:15, so
All right.
15 minutes more. You let me know when you want me to close it, okay?
Yeah. I'm gonna see if I can bounce. I think I got assigned to a group, so I might not be able to bounce through the groups.
I can take you out. Let's see. Where do you want to go? Tell me which room.
Send me to. I'll start at the first one, group 1.
There you go. You got the invite?
It kicked me out of my meeting. Can you hear me, Nancy?
Yeah, what meeting?
I was in meeting 2.
Okie dokie. Wait, I can't see who this is. Who is this so I can make sure I put you in?
Renee Clark. You don't see my picture when I talk?
Well, your head is kind of like this. Thank you. Sorry.
Here I am.
So you're in group 2, breakout room 2?
I believe it was 2 I was just in, and it kicked me out. And it could have been all that noise that's in the background that I'm dealing with at my school.
No, it shouldn't have kicked you out. Trying to figure out how to get you there, quite honestly. But it's not really giving me the option to send you anywhere. Let's see.
Oh, wait, it has a joint breakout room right here at the bottom. Let me try
Yes.
that. There we go. Got it.
All righty. I can't hear you, Nick. Just remember too, everything's still recording.
Only 4 people didn't go over.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, so they're currently talking and stuff like that, so it's good.
Cool. You let me know when you want me to close. And like I said, so we're here till 10:03. I'm sorry, 10:15.
10:15. I was about to say 10:03.
And I would give it maybe 10:10, just so we can kind of let them jump out and assign to the next, okay?
Yeah, how about we do, you said 10, so what if we did 10:08?
Okay.
It sounds
All right.
random, but
Now, I also made you the host so that I can go over and help out to get people in for pregnant and parenting.
okay.
Happy days. Oh, I better not sing, you'll record it. Okay, we're 10:06, so it only leaves you a few minutes. You ready to bring them back?
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll close all of them. I hit the button.
You got it? Cool, yeah, because I made you you're the host man.
I'm assuming the people in the waiting room right now are for the next session. All right, almost everybody's back here out of the breakout rooms. If you haven't seen, Nancy put into the chat the Google form. So group one, so can I hear back from group one? Somebody from group one? What'd you guys think?
Oh, was that the blizzard with the snowflakes?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we had some great ideas. One of them, if you maybe have like a grade like 3 to 8 or something like that, if the kids are throwing it up in the air, they can maybe put their hand behind their back or hop or stand on one foot. Or you can maybe put numbers on the snowflakes and grab an even number or an odd number or color them different colors, have them grab their favorite color.
Cool, cool. And that one's one where I feel like, I was saying to somebody, I do definitely feel like it might be more elementary, but if you wanted to do it in a high school, I think you could still do it.
Yeah.
I would just give them sheets of paper and scissors and let them figure out how small they're gonna cut it and be like, we're trying to see which group can catch the most amount of snowflakes. You gotta throw them in the air and catch them. So it's 1, 2, 3, throw, and then you guys gotta work together to catch them. So that's definitely how I saw like one of them kind of playing out. All right. Anything that you might like feel like would be a challenge or problematic with that one?
Maybe class size or yeah, class size. I mean, certain because maybe the like general ed and special ed, there may be a little difference because I'm sure the some of my special ed students will really like get into that. You know what I'm saying? Because plus, first of all, the class size is a little smaller. They're more of a tight knit class, and I think they'll probably really get into that a little more than just a normal, a regular 8th grade class.
Right, and you could also even have like different things for them to catch too. So you can use paper, you could use, I know plastic bag ban in Philadelphia, so you might have to use trash bags cut down, but you can use trash bags. You can kind of mix it up that way too. How about group 2?
So we talked about how it would be great for all the grade levels, just modifying the equipment that they put on their head instead of a beanbag or an eraser. It could be something a little more challenging, a little more off balance for the older students. We talked about how it would be super beneficial. This seems like a great large group activity game. So for all those, combined 2 classes in 1 gymnasium type deals. And then we also said it would be awesome for our special ed and combined classes because it, kind of forces you to work on the balance and your locomotor movements, which, working with the special ed kids is a big priority and a big concern, especially when they're in the gymnasium and stuff. So the spatial awareness, the locomotor movements and everything, it kind of forces you to touch on all of them.
Yeah, and if you notice, I kind of changed the name of it. It's actually called deportment tag, but that's supposed to be deportment as like how you're standing. My only problem is once I read that, I was like, every kid in Philadelphia is only going to think of one kind of deportment. So that's where the tall and proud came from. So sometimes you got to look at it and be like, I'm going to change the name of this because it's just not going to fly. So that's definitely one that I decided we're going to change that name. Group 3. Somebody from group 3? We'll come back to them.
Oh, no, I mean, no, we did. Yeah, ours was the number shuffle. So it's just putting numbers on paper or cardboard, pass them around, and you have them line up in different groups. You call out the different numbers around. We figured that this could be good for all different grade levels, but you could adjust it for time. So for older kids, make it go quicker, with a stopwatch. All right, we're gonna go quick, go. Younger grades, bring it down. Also, for the younger grades, we came up with, and also we could do that for special ed. When you kind of scroll down, you have like 96,471. Well, don't go that big of a number for the elementary grades. They probably can't even count that much or line up that quickly. So you would go for smaller numbers.
Yeah, and the other thing is, the nice thing about it is like you also have the rest of the team helping you get in the right order, so, hopefully there's the collaboration that way too.
And the other thing that I kind of came up with, we also said, like, this would be a good activity kind of to do, like we were talking before about putting into groups. Like once you're done this, you're already in a group. Those kids that already lined up in those numbers, that's one group right there. You can get the other kids that the numbers didn't work. Okay, you're in your separate group right there too. If your number wasn't called, you're in a group too.
Okay. Group number 5. Let's go with group number 5.
I was just going to say a number of us are elementary for the shoelace game, and just thinking that maybe a lot of the kids don't have a lot of stuff on their person. They're just showing up in their uniform. So you might have to supplement by using a lot of equipment spread around the gym, and tell them to bring different items that way.
Right. Or the other thing that I thought of is you could actually use this as a getting to know you game with the group. So instead of bringing you an object, bring me a person, so either A, have objects around in the gym, or B, like having it mixed in with like bring me a person. So like the shoelace, every kid, one kid out of the class, or multiple kids that are going to have shoes on that have shoelaces, you know, but definitely think about like what they have on them. I agree. But I also feel like it's a great like intro game that you could play out the gate. And that doesn't matter what grade you're in. Group number, we're going to run out of time. All right. If you didn't see it, Nancy had posted it, so I'll post it one last time. Let's see if I can copy and paste it real quick. Oh, not the waiting room.
That's the same form if we filled it out in the beginning, correct?
I'm not sure when she put it in, but I just want to put that there one more time. I think that's the attendance sheet.
She put it in like 10 times.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully, if you didn't see it, you got it one more time. Thank you. If you have questions or comments and you want to stick on for a little bit and ask them, you can. If not, I'm N.A. Mahowski at Phila SD. So it's N.A. Mahowski. And again, like if you have questions or you're like, hey, you know, I tried some of your stuff, I liked it. Do you have anything else? I could try to get you guys some more stuff. But there's at least between the 9 I gave you there and the 11 that's on the other one, it's something to get going with. If you have questions, you can definitely email me and I'll get back to you.
Do you have anything
I'm able to.
recorded that you did, like where you recorded yourself doing it?
Do I have a recording of classes doing stuff?
Of you doing, yeah, any of those?
I don't, but some of these you can go on. Also, I got these from Playmeo. It's a website.
Yeah, I saw it on the bottom of it.
A lot of them I got from Playmeo, and Nancy's in the works to try to get like a district account so that people can go on. I can't guarantee that it's going to happen, but you could also do what I did. You can just go on for like a month, pull off everything you need, and then cancel it, you know? So that's another workaround there.
Yeah. So
I will see though. I'll see maybe if I can record some of these activities with my high schoolers. If I can get a group that will sign off on the waivers, and then maybe we could put it somewhere. That's a good idea. Thank you.
Nick, I accidentally filled out session 1 attendance sheet,
Okay,
and I'm here for session 2, so I just want to let you know.
appreciate that.
All right. Thanks, Eric.
Hey, Nick, how's the family?
Doing well, man.
Yeah.
I'm not quite up to Edwards yet, but I got 4.
Wow. You know, we're together now.
Yeah. You guys are both at Central, right?
Yeah.
Nicholas.
Hey.
I registered for the PD, but I wasn't able to get a link on my email, and I attended with my colleague Heather. Can I give you my name and my number for attendance?
I would email it. You're gonna have to email it to Nancy, and maybe Nancy can fix it.
Yeah, I did email Nancy earlier when I couldn't find the link or get in.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, that's out of my control.
All right, thank you.
Coach, real quick,